Good afternoon and welcome to BizTech's Asian Midday Market Watch, powered by the Smart Investor Singapore. It's our year-end show where we look back at 2022 and look ahead to 2023 and get insights from our panel of analysts from around the region. Today's guest is Lee Kian Soon, CEO of Astral Asset Management, coming out of Singapore. He joins us to give his insights on what we should be watching out for. Kian Soon, great to have you on the show.
Good afternoon. Pleasure to join.
Now, Kian Soon, for a start, we've had a very turbulent 2022. Now, just to put things in its context, the US stock market has shed 11.7, and I say this again, $11.7 trillion this year. And more than 5 trillion of those losses in equities have come from just 5 companies: Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Alphabet, Meta, and Tesla. Now, this is really an interesting phenomenon. Take us through 2022, Kian Soon, and what you thought were the key highlights of the year.
I think if you ask me to summarize, right, in a sentence or two about 2022, I think it is the year where the central bankers stole all the limelight, and they have worked. I haven't seen them working so hard in the last decade, because all the central bankers were really busy. Starting with Fed, right? It was mentioned that they have raised rates for more than 5 times, 4 of which are at 75 basis point, which is unprecedented, right? Ending the era of low interest rates, where we have record low interest rates of 0% for nearly 5 to 10 years, I guess, for the past decade. And this is really the end of the era, where in 2022 interest rates raised literally from 0% post-COVID to 4%. This is unprecedented, this is draconian, and hence it has a drastic impact on stocks, in particular the tech stocks and growth stocks you mentioned, which has a spectacular year, 2 years in 2020 and 2021, and that's why you could see Nasdaq shedding more than 30%, S&P 500 shedding 20%, and the other developed markets have faced the same problems.
Now, Kian Soon, the other thing that sticks out for us, I think, in 2022, and you're a China special. I mean, and you've got a lot of exposure and experience in China. China, the wheels came off the cart this year with the property sector, banking, and technology. Walk us through that.
I think overall, in a China context, the first 10 months was marked by its COVID zero policy. This is the draconian policies where, with very little tolerance for cases. Literally, we have citizens being on lockdown for a couple of months in big cities, Shanghai, Beijing, Shenzhen, etc. And that took a drastic hit on China's economy and created, slowdown, unemployment. And on top of that, we could see that, the property sectors actually has a major hit as well, starting from, citizens not paying mortgages, the big developers crumbling down under its piles of debts. And on top of that, the tech players was also being targeted by the government with its stringent policies on, on various angles. And this overall created a very, very, negative, trading sentiments, and the investors have all, taken a second look at China and say, guys, it's time to, pull out of China and, take our money back.
And so now looking ahead to 2023, what are you watching out for, and where are you putting your money?
If you look at the outlook of 2023, it's actually not as glamorous or as positive as we have seen in most outlook reports. And I'm going to give my take, and trust me, right? Most of the outlook and most of the projections you do at the end of the year will always come out, incorrect by the time you take a review, at the end of next year. Having said so, right, I think 2023 is, for almost investors community, the most challenging part of it is, where do you want to allocate your capital? Would you like to allocate your capital in US, where you know that the interest rates are very high now, inflation is coming down, but by rising the interest rates at such a rapid pace, you could potentially face with a recession next year. So that is the United States. For Europe, I think not to forget, 2022, the Ukraine-Russian war started and has not actually ended even at this moment. So in Europe, they will continue to face high inflation as a result of the supply problems with the fuel and the ongoing wars concerns, as well as the fact that they have to play catch up in terms of ECB interest rates, Euro interest rates to the United States. And finally, coming back to Asia, what is interesting, I think, in Asia, or glimmer of hope that is coming out is actually from China. The reason I said so is actually China has now changed its position on COVID-0, and like the rest of the world has begun to loosen the COVID-0 policy constraints. And basically what they are experiencing for the last 2 months since they have loosened these constraints is rapid rise in number of cases, like what the rest of the world has faced actually 1 year ago. So if you make a projection forward, once the cases are managed, once the jams in the hospitals and the death rates are managed, I think China is going to resume its economic growth, resumes its economic activities, and you're going to see people traveling. You're going to see people, continue to have consumptions. In fact, there will be a lot of revenge consumption. And finally, you're going to get Chinese tourists coming to the rest of Asia and to the rest of the world. I think this offers a glimmer of hope, because at the present moment, let's not forget, China doesn't have an inflation problem. It has the opportunity to continue to lower its interest rate in order to stimulate more economic growth if necessary. And once the COVID constraints are fully lifted and people goes back to life as normal, we would have actually a more normal China economic growth as what we have seen in the last 10 years.
Now, Kian Soon, on that note, thank you very much for your insights, and let's have a great 2023 ahead. I wish you all the best. Make lots of money in 2023.
Wishing all a fantastic, happy new year, to good health, and to a happy life.
Thanks. We've been speaking to Lee Kian Soon, CEO of Astral Asset Management out of Singapore, on BizTech's Asian Midday Market Watch, powered by the Smart Investor Singapore. I'm Brian Fernandez. This show will be on our website, www.biztech.asia, as well as our social media platforms. It will also be on our syndication partners, TV stations, radio stations, and websites. Thanks a lot for tuning in.